Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Tonight we're going to be talking about the third eye. That's right.
Yeah.
Very the most spiritual chakra, or the one that you've probably most likely heard of.
That's right.
We're doing this whole series, so we've been doing one each week. So if you haven't been with us, go back and check those out. My name is Dr. Asatar Bear, my co-teacher here, Via Schaefer.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Each week we do this class live. We teach Heart Rhythm Meditation. It's a method of meditation that comes out of Sufism, the Sufism of Hazrat Inayat Khan. So, the third eye is located. Let's just talk about that first, right? Like it's located here, but also we have to think about it as being in the middle of the skull, right? So, it
Mhm.
comes out here, right in the center of the forehead.
Yeah, and it's connected with the pineal gland, which is
Yeah,
exactly where Asatar was pointing to. And there's a lot of studies that are done when you activate your pineal gland. It's extraordinarily good for you, including releasing a ton of anti-inflammatories and many, many other things.
yeah. And the
Yeah.
pineal gland is fascinating too because here it is in the center of the skull. Okay, so it's in the darkest place that you could get in the human body, and
Mm,
it actually has these microcrystals within it, these piezo crystals, which
really?
which get activated. They're sensitive to light. So you kind of wonder, right? That begs the question, like,
I
what is
didn't know that.
yeah, yeah, what is the light that activates, right? And where does this come from, right? So,
That's
it's a kind
cool.
of interesting thing, right? Because in mysticism, we often have these descriptions, we have these esoteric texts that depict, light around the head, light shining from center of the forehead. Right? Um, that's sort of interesting, right? And this is the center of intelligence. This is a center of, but not the intelligence that we might be thinking of, not the linear kind, right? This is the kind of intelligence that gives you the answer that you couldn't possibly know, that gives you the knowledge that you can't know. um,
Yeah.
there aren't tracks to it, right? Like when you use logic, you develop a chain of reasoning, like, if this is true, then this is true, and then this follows from that, right? Like, that's deduction. um, the third
Mm.
eye and spiritual knowledge is different from that. It's intuitive, right? And sometimes that linear thinking blocks it, because a lot of times it doesn't make sense, like, how can knowledge make sense if you don't have a sense of the steps that led to it, right? Like, what do you do with that, right? You kind of, a lot of times you reject it, um, so um, we want to, like, how can we deal with knowledge like that? How can we deal with intelligence like that? How can we make sense of it? How can we make use of it? We really
Mm.
need a strong connection to our hearts, right? And our hearts, in the sense of our emotional self, right? Our personality, but also in the sense of the infinite container of love that connects us to all beings everywhere.
Mm.
Then we when we resonate with that, then we have a sense of, like, is a piece of knowledge or an insight or a piece of intuition, is it resonant with that or not? You know,
Mm.
we have, like, a way of making sense of that. You know,
Yeah, totally. I think it's very beautifully said. It is such a wild thing to try to deal with instincts or intuition that comes on very strongly, and that is um like I sorry, just things that you shouldn't know that you do know. I've had a lot of experiences like this, and it's
right?
really difficult to deal with
I was just going
because
to ask you, because I know that you've had that since you were like a child, right? You've gotten things
uh,
like this burst of intuition and so on. How did
yeah,
you deal?
I'm still honestly, I'm still learning how to deal with it. There's no real, like, there's no school you can go to where they're like there's no Hogwarts or, whatever school that you can go to where you're like, "Oh, that's totally normal, and this is how you deal with it whenever something's gonna happen before it's gonna happen, or you have intuitive dreams about it before it does," and,
Right.
but it's really helpful, like, so classic, one of them that's classic was that, I, 2 no, it was like a year and a half ago, I was thinking about moving to DC, and, I was, like, trying to decide what I should do and this and that. I live in Tucson, Arizona, the desert of all places, I was trying to decide, like, "Okay, should I go? Should I really do this? Should I really jump ship?" And then I had this dream about, Darren Rhodes and Sam Rice, who are 2 fantastic yoga instructors and teachers of teachers here in town, and they were, like it was this beautiful dream, and they were, like, helping me there's so much light in the dream, and they were, like, helping me teach. They're like, "Here, like, here's the way to teach yoga. Do it this way." And I woke up and I was like, "What a lovely dream." And then and then I went online, I was like, "I better just check on their website and see what they're up to." And, sure enough, those 2 together were starting a teacher training that was starting, in, like, 2 weeks from then. And, of course, then I joined it. I was like, "I should probably join this." And then I joined it. I decided to stay, and sure enough, now I'm teaching 22 classes a week. So, it worked out real grand for me. So
Yeah,
sometimes it can be fantastic to have that, like, extra insight, and other times it can be terrifying. Like, it can be terrifying to see the darkness and terrifying to see the truth of things, or, like, a deeper level of truth of things than what's on the surface. So, it's a
I love
mixed
how you
bag.
I love how you just had an example to hand, like a very meaningful and recent example, you know? Like
Oh,
that's
yeah. Sometimes I say, like, the universe, like, harasses me, like, it's like,
right.
it's like, "Oh, she'll listen to me," It's just like no, but it is I'm joking, but it is a lot. It's a lot to deal with because we're not taught how to deal with it, so,
Yeah. Well, I
yeah.
mean, that's why people come to this channel, I think, right? Because
Yes.
we're taught because
Mhm.
so if you're here for that reason, then you've come to the right place.
Yes.
This kind of reminds me of this ad I saw years ago. It was an ad for some fast food place or whatever, and it was like it had a sign, and it said, "This is a sign," you know, and which I thought was funny, because it was an actual sign, and a sign,
Yeah.
so this is a sign, and what are the things that we consider to be signs, right? What are the things that tell us that we're on the right path, whatever that means, right? Or on the wrong path, or
Yeah.
how do we get these messages? What is right and what is wrong, right? To
Yeah.
that there's something out there giving us some correction, right? Um, like hey, I'm driving. It's really hard to see. I don't know. Oh, you're getting a correction. It says steer to the right. Do you
Yeah.
listen to that, right? And and what does that imply, right? It implies that there's some kind of divine intelligence out there that has some kind of rough plan, right? Like
It's
for
mind-blowing. Yeah.
but like it can't be a specific plan, right? Because clearly not everything has been mapped out in advance, right? Like but it's some kind of general, very free flowing, very adaptable kind of plan, right?
Yeah.
And what does it mean to? I mean, so that's one thing on the level of an idea, right? And then
Yeah.
what if you adopt that idea and say, there is intuition, there is a um, there is a infinitely loving presence out there. Let's call it God, that wants us to grow and develop and change in a way that brings out our potential.
I like that way of yeah, I like that way of framing it.
Yeah, and we always get this wrong because we always think, well, this universal love, this divine being is loving. Well, then why do bad things happen?
Yeah. That's the ultimate question, like, if
That's a trial of faith right there, right?
yeah, or you do listen to guidance and you get your heart ripped out of your chest, like, that's
Yeah,
another thing that's happened to me multiple times.
me
So,
too,
it's like,
absolutely.
"What?"
How
So,
could
yeah.
following this
Mm.
lead me to a
Yeah.
failure, lead me to pain? Um, and that's difficult, right? I mean, it's and then but then there's all those decisions that you make on the basis of this, and you say, you know what, I'll give it a shot, right? And
Mhm.
it's a kind of, there are these one in a million successes too. Um, you know,
And
those
success
don't
is
cause us to
so
struggle, right? Those don't cause us to say, why? Because it's a success, right?
yeah, I did it. But yeah, but life can't be a flat line, right? And like this is the thing is that like we're like I always say that we're just like children, compared to the universe, like every single one of us is extremely young. And we might have the divinity within us, but that doesn't mean our mind and our identity is not a child, like even the wisest of us.
Yeah,
And not in a bad way, but just in the sense of like the ancient nature of intelligence itself and consciousness itself. And I think about like when we think of our own children, like when they're very young, like the child is very, very young and eating a thing of crayons or something, and the mother comes and snatches it out of the hand, and they go ballistic, like,
it's
how could you
so
take my
unfair. Yeah,
crayons from me? Like it's like this like ballistic thing. But it's like ultimately, like, it's like, no, that's not the best thing for you to eat, or just that learning curve, that we all go through. But also, I think that the spiritual growth is not dependent on like successes. It's also very much learning how to bring the light back into the darkness, and
right.
how to open our perception, like our own identity and our perception to a more universal consciousness. Because we
Yeah,
don't know everything, we don't know everything, and we think we have all these ideas about how life is supposed to be, but in reality, we know so little.
yeah.
So,
I mean, a failure that you grow from, that changes you, that helps you to develop your potential, and that's often the case with failure, and in a way that success does not.
yeah.
That may be a win from the perspective of the
Mm.
universe, though it
In the
certainly
long run.
lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the long run, right? Once you're able to recover from it and whatever,
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
um,
'Cause it's a slippery slope. Because it's like I would never say, "Oh, just chalk it up. Everything happens for a reason." It's like I do believe there's a universal intelligence. I do believe that this world is full of darkness, and we will encounter it one way or another. And I'm not justifying that darkness. But
right.
if we bring the light into the darkness, if we bring the wisdom into the darkness, if we make someone else's life better from it, or either if it's our own, or teaching someone else what we've learned from it, then we can evolve more as a humanity.
Yeah, that's a very good point. We don't want to accept everything that happens, even if there
Mhm.
was some purpose behind it. We don't say, well, that should happen, right? I mean, like, because there reality is there are a lot of injustices in the world. There's a lot of things that we can do better, and that we must do better on.
Yeah.
And we cannot shrink from that responsibility by putting it on, spiritual whatever, right? We have to do the things that make life better for all of us collectively, right? I mean, um,
Mm. Yeah, ideally. And we can get so hung up on making the right decision or the wrong decision. I get hung up on that constantly. Like, I am really hung up on that, like, on a daily basis. And so the right decision, the wrong decision, like, it's just like, it's not that simple, really, is the thing
yeah. Well,
there.
this is why it's so important to develop this connection with your heart, right? Because
Mhm.
life is giving us signs all the time, right? But the question is, what does it mean? You know, what is a sign of what? Which ones do we listen to? Which ones do we ignore?
Yeah.
And like, is it telling us to just endure? Is it telling us to move forward more forcefully? Is it telling us to wait? Is it telling us to change direction? Right. I mean, these are just a few examples of what a sign might indicate. Right. So we have to have a way of
Mhm.
taking this knowledge, this insight, this intuition within our hearts, and then turning it into action that's right for us, right? That we are,
Mm.
that um, that resonates,
Yeah,
so that's a skill, that we can work on, and
yeah,
you know,
because
it,
we're
I just want to say that it's there's a lot of stuff out there about the third eye, and third eye is the center of psychic powers and all this stuff, right? And the problem with this is that if your connection to your heart is not strong enough, um, then all
mm,
of that insight is not going to help you very much. Is the problem, and it can be harmful even.
mm,
You need to
mm,
have a strong sense of who you are. What is it that you love? What is it that motivates you? And what is
mm.
that connection to the infinite? That will allow you to take intuition and actually use it in your life.
Mhm. Yeah, because it's like we can have a vision for our life and ourself, and we can even have guidance or signs, but then it's like, how does it actually work in the real life? Are we testing it out? And also, like, can we hold it in our heart? Like, do we
Yeah.
have the capacity to hold that vision in our heart and also in our root? Like, yeah, it's one thing to have the vision and the dream, and it's a total another thing to actually execute it or to live it, is a better word. Um,
We
well,
have a message here from our friend Marcadus. Tiny rhombus crystals floating in the pineal. Yeah,
what does it say?
it says there are rhombus crystals floating in the pineal.
That's so wild. I had no idea. Oh man, that's so
Interesting. I mean,
cool.
like this is what are these crystals doing in here? Right? They are sensitive to light. It's the craziest thing.
Yeah. It's so cool. All right, so should we try this out then a little bit?
Let's
Um,
do it. Yeah.
okay, great. So I'll keep mine. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see. So so I want to focus tonight on guidance. Oh my gosh. So we're gonna build ourselves up just like we always do with our Harvard the meditation technique and practice. So first and foremost, come into a meditative posture. I'm sitting in a chair, and so is Asatar. That's called the Pharaoh posture. You want to try to have your knees lower than your hips so that you can breathe more deeply and more easily. And so go ahead, once you take your posture, you can also sit cross-legged, laying on the floor. I don't actually recommend that necessarily for the third eye, although we do dream quite a bit laying down, which is a really big indication. Our dreams are a big indicator of our third eye, our subconscious speaking to us through our consciousness. But stay awake with us for a moment and deepen your breathing. You want to bring your breath really to the lowest part of your abdomen and allow your breath to be as full as possible, but not full in your chest, full in your low belly. Almost like your breath is clearing stuff out, clearing out whatever's in the lower chakras, whatever's in the lower organs as well. And as you exhale, really making the bottom of the exhalation emphasized. So seeing how much further can you go with that exhalation of yours tonight. It's stretching yourself, stretching out your energy, stretching out your presence to its greatest edges. That bottom of your breath. It's really powerful, reaching the bottom of your breath. But of course, that means more life is going to come in, and then you direct it. You direct the new inspiration, that new life, directing it again to the low abdomen, low belly, lower chakras. And we're doing this for many different reasons, but one of the reasons we're making our breath conscious is because our breath is one of the bridges between the subconscious and the consciousness. In other words, I can breathe and not know I'm breathing. It's subconscious. Or I can breathe consciously and make my breath conscious. So therefore it becomes a bridge between these two spaces in ourself. And the reason we're making our breath full, or one of the reasons we're making our breath full, is because you want to have that capacity, like Asatar was talking about. You want to have that capacity to hold the energies, and you hold them with your heart, and you hold them with your root. You have to have the vision, but then you have to hold it. You have to take the steps toward it. And having your full breath will help you increase your capacity. Try to feel that right now. And the reason we make our breath rhythmic, if you haven't already, try to make your breath rhythmic. We'll add our heartbeat in to help us with that in just a moment. But you can start now. And the reason we make our breath rhythmic is because no matter the chaos going on around us, there's all kinds of noise around me right now for whatever reason. And no matter what's going on around me, including all of the impressions I've gotten throughout the day, throughout this last week, when I make my breath rhythmic, I'm bringing harmony to the most fundamental level of myself. And it opens you. It creates this peace and this space inside. And let yourself try to feel that. Feel the peace and space you're creating inside with your full rhythmic breathing. Sometimes we think life has to be perfect in order to be loved or in order to feel peace. But that's just not true. We just have to be open. Open enough to go outside of our limitations and into a field beyond all rights and wrongs. But you're in that field now. It's not somewhere outside of you, it's somewhere within. And then we'll start using our third eye even now. Try to really feel and sense your heart and your heart's energy. So it's an internal intuition, it's an intuitive sense. It's there, your heart's energy is there, your heart's light is already there, but we don't sense it all the time. And so maybe even bowing your head slightly and paying attention, focusing your internal drishti, your internal point of focus into your heart center. And trying to really feel and sense your heart energetically. Can you feel your heart's energy? Can you see or sense the light in the very core of your own corazon, your own heart? And what helps us focus the most is obviously love. When we love something, we love someone, we can't think of anything else. I want you to have love for yourself right now. I want you to open up to that, despite all the seeming rights, all the seeming wrongs, despite not knowing or having the vision to know exactly where your life is headed next, or how you're going to ever become who you truly want to become. I want you to give your heart, yourself, deep and full love, as if you're approaching your heart like it's a dear friend, someone that's helped you carry all of your burdens, who's been with you through everything. And that will help you focus. That will help you focus on really feeling your heart and all that it carries, the known and the unknown. Don't be afraid to look. It's okay. Everything that is inside of my heart is going to compose all the positives and negatives of my whole life, my whole humanness. We don't want to deny ourselves or blind ourselves to the realities of what's within. Love yourself that much that you'll actually look, you'll actually see what's all inside of you, in the center of your being. Good. And then start to breathe in rhythm with your heartbeat if you can. Now, this takes a lot of practice, so if this is your first time, you're not going to be able to do it right away, and that's okay. It's normal. We recommend starting with 8 heartbeats in, 8 heartbeats out with your breathing. And at first, you do have to count, but later, after you're used to it, just placing a sacred word on your heartbeat instead, or a mantra or poem, is totally recommended. Some of us will be able to feel our heartbeat right away, and others of us will need to use a pulse point, maybe placing your hand on your heart, the other hand on your wrist, or a hand on your throat to find a pulse point as you breathe. And start to breathe in rhythm with your own heartbeat, as if this rhythm is the only focal point you can have right now in order to create more and greater harmony in your life than you could imagine. As if this harmony that you're going to make right now with your heart is going to allow you to hear the guidance you most need to hear and give you the vision of what's next. Listen that deeply, as if the answers are available to you through tuning up with your own heart. One of the ways to surrender the um, the mind to the heart is just simply bowing the head and really listening to the heart with your internal instinct, with your third eye. We want to connect them. We want to connect the mind and the heart, not one or the other, but both. But the mind has a funny way of thinking it's in charge. And that's why it's a surrender. That's why you bow your head gently. Because your heart is so much more powerful than any other part of your body. The energy field alone is bigger than your whole body. And so we surrender our mind. We surrender what we think we know. We surrender our thoughts of limitation, our thoughts, our concepts of this is what life should look like. Because we do not know. We do not know the full spectrum of possibility within ourselves and within the scope of living and breathing your truest and fullest happiness and freedom, your truest liberations. You focus on what you love, that you open your mind to hearing answers deeper than you could imagine. All right, we'll stop there for now. When you're ready, move your body and open up your eyes.
Mm, nice meditation. Thank you, Leah.
Thank you. Happy to be here with everyone.
I wanted to say something about on the theme of these signs and so on. We have. I think we've been talking about this guidance, like as if it's like this very esoteric and very subtle thing, but we do have one that's really easy to perceive, and we perceive it all the time, and that's our desires. I mean,
Mm,
our desires are like a very clear sign, you know, and we feel
yeah.
it. We feel it very strongly, and we just don't necessarily take those desires seriously, or maybe we haven't really worked with them. We haven't really refined them. We haven't really asked the question, what is the desire that's behind the desire? Um,
That's a good question.
yeah, we have to sit with our desires. Like I often talk to people who say, um, I want to be rich, and it's like, yeah, well, okay, let's go deeper with that. I mean, like this is a desire that we're taught to have, right? And Western civilization, capitalism, right? Like we,
Hmm.
we want to be rich. What is it you want? Like what's the thing you want? Safety. Um, is it freedom? Is it the ability to go where you want? Is it freedom over your time? Find the thing that is the source there. Um, I mean, not that like if we're taking desire seriously, we're not saying it's bad unless it's like hurting somebody else, right? But like
Yeah.
we want to take a desire and say that's a desire that's coming from more than just you personally. That's a desire that the universe is expressing through you. Um,
Mm,
and a
yeah.
lot of times we're sort of taught in spirituality that we're not to, not supposed to have desires. We're not supposed to be attached to things. We're not supposed to, want things, right? Or we're not supposed to want anything.
Mm,
And not that it's about things, right? It's not about the external. It's about how is your heart and soul longing to grow, right? Um,
yeah. Yeah.
so we don't want to put it on an external thing and say, "Oh, if I only had this external thing, then I'd be happy and fulfilled." That's not going to be true, right? I mean, I'll just tell you that is not going to. That's the lie that we're told a million times a day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but in
Mm,
attaining an external object, we attain something within. Right? That's the thing that matters. That's the prize. So I'm we want to listen to our hearts, right? We want to listen to our desires. But there are these moments where we don't have a strong desire about anything, right? And
mm,
that's a place where we can ask a much, a question that we really want the answer to, or we can be open to something else, right? Or there may be we may know what we want, but it's a question of how to get there, right? Or how to manifest that, right? Maybe we have something that's vague, we need to get clear on.
mhm.
So, I don't want to make it sound like these signals that we get are so mysterious, right? Sometimes they're really obvious. The voice of our heart is just like speaking all the time and saying, "I want this," right? And if only we could see it as like, "I want to become this," right? Instead of putting it on an object. So
Mm. I want to become this. Yeah. 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 Deep, deep look and view at this. Very nice, Asatar.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I like this theme about you know listening, about um, how is it that we're growing together with the universe. I think there's I think there's something to
Mm.
that. We have to keep in mind that we are also we're co-creators. So what
Yes.
we say
Yeah.
matters too. We're not just listening. We can speak.
Yeah. Because we're part of it. We're not like, y- you know, we're part of the one life. So the divinity is within us and we're part of
Yeah,
the creation process.
right, right.
Mhm.
Mm. Well, should we do another meditation on
Let's do
on
another
gratitude?
meditation. That's why we came here. That's why we all
So here,
gathered. I don't know. I don't know if it's just me and you and AQ, but we're here together.
we here.
Mm.
So I'd like to do a practice, which is Ya Alim. This is
Mm.
as you know, this is the wazifa, or this is from one of the 99 names of God tradition. And in Sufism, we see these as um, qualities to be invoked within ourselves. We're calling upon that aspect of the divine being. And so Alim means divine intelligence. And we say Ya Alim, calling upon. It's like, oh, divine intelligence. So, and we're going
Satar,
to,
would you like me to mute myself?
okay.
I'm gonna mute myself. I do have a really good Alim, but but I'm gonna
Oh,
mute myself.
is it so that because we're not sure how it might interact with the
Yes.
link? All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Okay.
Leah's afraid that hers might steal my thunder or something like this.
100%, definitely. I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
So we want to practice the sound. So Alim has these that um, several different sub sounds in it. Right, it has this E sound that we're going to draw out, and it has a sound. So it's Alim, and so we're going to transition the E to the and then there's an opportunity there for uh, to produce what are called overtones, vocal overtones. Um, this is another way to produce sounds. You can actually produce a different range of sounds through overtones, frequencies that are, for example, higher than what you'd be able to produce. You can produce momentarily high frequencies, right? But like from what you could produce with your regular voice. And there's one in particular that comes out of this sound that really just goes straight to this third eye center and really opens it. So you can do this sound with me if you'd like, or you could just listen to it and maybe it awakens something there. And then we're going to take that into the meditation. So I'm just doing a little explanation here, but so take your upright meditation posture, and I'll make the sound of Alim, and sit with it and see what you experience. Take the aftermath of this sound into our hearts. Work the basic steps of heart rhythm meditation. Make the breath deep, slow, rhythmic, heart centered, and full. Breathe in and allow your belly to expand. Breathe out and your belly contracts. Make your breath take longer than it normally takes. Breathe out more and breathe in more. Make your breath rhythmic and heart centered by breathing in for the same number of heartbeats as you breathe out for. And make your breath full by really squeezing your abdominal muscles as you breathe out. And open and expand first your belly and then your rib cage and your chest, allowing the breath to fill your entire torso region. So keep that breathing practice going, and we'll try the Ya Lim practice some more. Yali. 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 And now your breath is a very powerful tool, and your breath is not just the air, but is also energy. The air will go in and out through your nose, but the energy goes wherever you pay attention, wherever you focus. So as you breathe in, just imagine that you are breathing in through the center of your forehead. And that stream of energy, that stream of light, Goes straight to the center of your skull and then travels down to your heart in line with your spine. The third eye is one of these centers that has become part of our culture. And being a fan of hip hop, I've so often heard this in songs where they say, open up your third eye, see beyond the surface, see the hidden knowledge, the hidden wisdom. And so, working with the inhalation, we're working with opening. The inhalation is a receptive energy. We're opening the third eye and drawing that wisdom, that insight, that intelligence, that spiritual knowledge into our hearts. Along the way here, we are connecting our minds and our hearts. The Sufis say the mind must be the servant of the heart. It is only your heart that knows the way that is right for you. But your mind is very helpful in strategy and tactics. Does not do well with direction. You need to know which way to go. The mind can chart a path given that direction. Breathe in through the center of your forehead all the way to the center of your skull, then down into your heart as though your heart was a great lake filled with light. And as you breathe out, allow your heart to radiate. Allow that light to shine in all directions, to suffuse your whole being with the light of that intelligence, that knowledge. Sometimes what we gain from our third eye is not even new on the level of information. It might not be, let's say, sometimes it is, but it might be more like a clarity. The third eye is like a beam of light, like a laser. And when you ponder that image, that focused beam of light, you consider the qualities of a focused beam of light. Powerful, compact, it has a direction, it has a line. It's very clear, and sometimes we need that clarity. When wisdom arrives, it often seems so simple. Sometimes I've tried to explain to somebody what I learned in meditation, and the words don't encapsulate the feeling. They can't convey how it felt to receive that realization, that experience. And so sometimes it can sound trite, but it is the power of that experience that is often what we need. We could get the message, we could get the words from an inspirational card or something, right? But that would not give us the clarity of that vision. That would not give us that focus, that insight. It goes beyond words, beyond concepts. As you ponder this divine intelligence, do not think that it is separate from you. You are part of the divine intelligence. That is a quality that you can call on anytime, whenever you need that quality. And sometimes things become foggy, things become obscured. We forget, we get mired in confusion. Sometimes we need that beam of light. It just cuts through the fog. All right, we'll end our meditation there. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I kind of think I want like a recording of you doing that for my morning alarm. That would be,
I don't know if that would wake you up or make you want to keep sleeping on it. So
it
I've
would wake
listened
me up
to
for
it.
sure. That would definitely wake me up. I loved it. That was so great, Asatar. I think that people that might be tuning in are like, didn't even know you had that in you, Asatar. He's like, "Boosh," that big energy coming through. I loved it.
You know, next week,
Yeah.
we are going to continue on and talk about the crown chakra.
We're at the last one already.
Last one. So, don't worry, we'll be repeating this sequence in the future. But you know what I think of when I think of the crown chakra is those beautiful paintings, where it depicts
Mm,
Jesus or a saint, and they always have this golden halo, right?
yeah,
And there's a sort of truth that's expressed in that, right? That there is this
yeah.
crown of light, So we're going to talk about that, and what is this about? What is this good for, right? Try to connect it to life if we can that next week. So I
Yeah.
hope you all can.
It'll be very regal and royal
It'll be very
experience.
illuminating.
Illuminating, yeah. All right, thank you everybody so much. Happy meditating in between, and we hope that that gave you a little bit of a taste of your third eye.
Have a good night, everyone.
Mm.